Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is King Shed Talk. This is Salid, and these back porch conversations we're gonna be having. I haven't been here in a while. I've been doing a lot of other things, but this is basically episodes and conversations with different people and myself, mostly with things that go on in everyday life, stuff we have to deal with. Um, Situations we have dealt with or may deal with in the future. Today's episode is going to be about co-parenting. Uh, that's a vast subject because co-parenting has its ups, its downs. We're coming from a viewpoint of the male perspective today, though, with situations that we deal with when it comes to it, because a lot of times we hear about the mother's side of it, but sometimes we don't get the father side. And I do have a guest with me today. I'll let him introduce himself. We'll be talking in depth about this subject, and hopefully you guys will get something from it. I know it's going to be therapeutic for me, and like and subscribe, because I'm also going to be posting this podcast on YouTube, and I'll put in the heading how you can find that. But without further ado, introduce yourself, brother.
What up, though, everybody? This is Jay from Detroit.
From Detroit. Jay from Detroit. Now, a lot of things that go on with co-parenting that I found is the aspect, the hard part of it. I'll start out with first. The hard part for me is the time away from the children, because co-parenting doesn't always have to mean that you're away from the child through divorce or separation or just breaking up with somebody. But a lot of times when you hear the phrase co-parenting, it is assumed that the parents don't live in the same household. Now, what's going to be interesting about today's topic is that I don't live in the household with my children's mother, but Jay does live in the home. So it's going to be interesting to get those two sides of the coin going. Now, I know for me, like I said, it's hard because you want to be there for every single thing, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. You want to tuck them in, feed them, help them with homework. Because just recently, my youngest daughter, I had to help her with homework via FaceTime, and that was odd and weird to say the least. But we got it done. But it pains me as a father that loves his children so much to not be there for every single second of their lives. I saw my son's football game last week, but I don't get to see every football game or every practice. And we'll get a little deeper into the ins and outs of it, but that to me is a hard part about co-parenting when you aren't in the home. What would you say, Jay, is some of the positive points, or what do you love the most about being able to be a co-parent that does live in the home?
Well, the part I love the most is actually being there and watching my child grow up. To me, that's the most amazing feeling in the world, is to be there and watch a child grow up. I love my kid loves me. Our bond is something no one can break. It's just an amazing feeling. It's just an amazing feeling.
Now, when you think about that bond, has it ever crossed your mind like, okay, what if, and I'm asking, this is a hypothetical, but it's very real, because I have these thoughts sometimes because I'm actually living inside of it. But have you ever thought, okay, I have this situation with my child right now that I love, and I'm getting to see them grow up in real time every day. But what if, this dynamic changed? How would I feel not seeing my child every day? Or how would I feel with the possibility of another man getting that time that I'm used to getting? I won't be getting it anymore.
Honestly speaking, I've thought about it a lot, and I don't think I'll be able to do it. Especially the part where the other man comes in and fills in where I was at. I don't think I'll be able to do it.
It's definitely tough, because I know for me, it's one of the gentlemen whom my kids are around now. I mean, I don't personally know him, but at the same time, I don't hear, the kids say anything bad about him. I don't believe that he would do anything to harm them. And I know their mom is very good about her choice in people in general. But at the same time, as a man, it always creeps in your head, the what ifs.
Yes.
What if this person is mean to my child? Or what if this person is harming my child in any kind of way? And sometimes it's not even the negatives of it, because with me recently, I was thinking, man, this dude is seeing more of my son's practices and games than I am.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is tough and hard to deal with, and which is why communication is so key with the other parent, whether in home or out of home. That open line of communication, that respect that you have for one another, the just the knowing that at some point, most times anyway, at some point there was love there.
Yes.
And love can still be there without you physically being with the person. And I believe that love will then shape the relationship between the parents, and also that flows down with the children. But there has to be open dialogue. There has to be a respect there. What do you feel like, if any, or any challenges that you may have even being inside of the home? Because I've talked about some things when you're outside of the home, some things that pop up that you can't really be a part of or whatnot, but I'm sure there are some difficulties even inside of the home.
Yeah, there's a lot of difficulties inside the home. It basically comes down to the two parents agreeing on what's best for the child.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times parents can butt heads because he may have his beliefs and she may have her beliefs, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to what benefits the child and how the child can grow from whatever's going on.
That's huge, because even when I was in the home, I did experience some of that with you may feel a certain type of way, and then the mom thinks totally different. Right. But you have to also, while sticking close to what you want to do, you have to also have this unified front.
That's right.
So the child doesn't play.
That's right.
Sides and stuff like that. But because that went on a lot with me, because girls, not so much my sons, but my daughters, girls somehow know that daddy is on that finger.
That's right.
They know it. And so they'll use it from a very, very young age. And so that's some of the difficulties as far as being inside the home, dealing with that. I remember, and it goes beyond even the biological children, because sometimes we get in situations where we get in these relationships and you may bring children into the relationship, or you may be with a woman that already has kids in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So that even adds a whole new level of good times, bad times, confusing times, stressful times. I've been in a situation I can think of right now. I had a situation with one of my oldest daughters. mom. Well, her and I weren't together. I think my daughter at the time was about, she was about 5 or 6. And her mom had called me. And let me back up. Before her mom called me, there was a time where I was calling to check on my daughter or whatever, and I hear this guy in the background telling her mom, hurry up, get off the phone, and stuff like that. See, that's some of that's some of the stressors of being in the situations where you're not in the home, and then the person you made this child with moves on, and so now you have that person in the picture. Their likes, dislikes, personality, habits, all of that gets put into the mix.
Yes.
And so instantly I'm like, who is that or whatever? She trying to play it off. Nah, let's talk about our child and blah, 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 blah. And so then you hear, him in the background saying stuff that, was getting me upset. But at the time I was living, I think, like an hour and a half away. So it wasn't like I could just hop in the car and go around the corner. But so yeah, that situation happening with the same dude. She called me one day, and she was just straight up with, I need you to come get your daughter. I don't want her anymore. Okay. And I'm like, what? You don't want her anymore? And she was like, yeah, come get her. Come get her now. So I asked her where she was and everything. So I drove a couple of hours to get there, and turns out she was at a hospital having another baby. And so I go in, my daughter runs up to me. I see this dude who has been going back and forth on the phone before, but see, you have to contain yourself enough to know, okay, if I go off like I want to go off, now my daughter is going to see it, for one. Mm-hmm. 2, it's going to be traumatic for her because I'm in a hospital, so of course security, cops will get called and everything. So I'm trying to think about all of this, and at the same time, you're going through this internal hurt and pain from it. For me anyway, I'm thinking, okay, did my daughter hear her mother say she didn't want her anymore? Does she know why I'm coming to pick her up? So all of that was going through my head. So I get my daughter come back to where I was living at, get her registered for school, get her paperwork and all of that. Everything was great for about 5 or 6 months. And then I get a knock at the door from the sheriff's department, asking me who I am or whatnot. And so they arrest me for kidnapping. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And so they don't tell me anything. They drive me all the way to Georgia. I have court the next morning, I believe it was, and I'm in front of the judge, and the judge is saying all what I'm charged with or whatnot. My daughter's mom was in the courtroom with the guy who I already had some sort of beef with. It wasn't really beef; it was more like baloney, because beef is a lot more serious. But so I'm listening to all this stuff, and her mom had called the cops and told them that I came and just grabbed my daughter and wouldn't bring her back. That was the story. And so we go through all of that. So the judge ultimately was like, because her mom, my daughter's grandmother, even spoke on my behalf. And so the judge was basically like, he said, I'm going to reprimand you to the county jail until your daughter is returned. Now, thankfully, I had taken my dad with me. He had come down for the court appearance, and so he drove all the way back a couple hours to get my daughter and bring her back. But the thing is, after court was over, the judge came to the holding cell and talked to me personally, and he said, sir, I just want to personally apologize to you for what I had to do. He said, because I can clearly see that you're the better parent. He said, but in this state, all the mother has to do is say, you took the child and won't bring them back, and if you cross state lines, it's a kidnapping charge. And he told me something that stuck with me forever past that day. He said that one of the hardest things to do, no matter how bad the mother is to get a judge to take a child away from the mother. And that stuck with me because a lot of women know that, and they use that.
Yes, they do.
Against the fathers, and they use that in situations to make them look better. And that's definitely not all women that do that, because there's great mothers out there. But I say that to say that men, do your homework.
That's right.
learn the law, do your homework, keep your receipts, doggone, and that's not only physical receipts. If you know, but make sure you're on top of your game. Hopefully you don't have to deal with situations like that, but in the event that you do, it's best to do everything right that you're supposed to do. Always think about the child first, because that was a real hard thing for me when I had to hand over my daughter to the police, and she's screaming and trying to hold on to me, but there was nothing I could do. And a lot of that stuff can be avoided if we pay attention to who we're having children with. Pay attention to the red flags, pay attention to the personalities. Love yourself first, understand who you are as a person, and then most times getting with somebody else won't be as difficult and won't be as hard and taxing on your spirit beyond anything else. Now, I'm over talking my guest, but
you're not. You're actually. I'm learning, so it's cool.
Now let me ask you this: when you, because I'm gonna go back to what you said earlier about sometimes you have situations where you may feel a certain way about something, and then your child's mother may feel differently. How do you handle that situation with in front of the child and behind closed doors? Is it different, or how does that go?
Well, first, the parents both have to make sure they're on the same page and on one accord. Now, in front of the child, we sit down and we talk and we explain to her what's going on, if she's around to know what's going on. And when it's just me and her, it's gonna be some yelling and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we just have to be on the same page. And we both have to be willing to listen to each other. If you're not listening, you're not gonna understand. And
That's
if
good.
you're not listening, there's no cooperation. Like, there's no ending. It won't be a good ending to it if you're both not listening. You just basically have to listen and take into consideration the other person's feelings at the end of the day.
Now, that's good. Take into consideration the other person's feelings, because a lot of times that's not what we do.
Right.
A lot of times we may take the child's feelings into account, and sometimes people don't even do that. But for the most part, that's what's being done. But people don't always take the other parent's feelings into consideration. I've been at fault with that myself in the past, because sometimes the stressors of just everyday life make you only care about what's on the surface.
That's right.
There have been times when I was like, A, B, and C is good for the kid. I don't give a F what's good for you, but I did notice that as time went on, the more that you really do, like you said, and take the other person's feelings into account, the more that you do that, the easier things get.
Of course.
And even the happier the kids are, because that stuff flows down.
That's
they can
right.
feel it. Kids can feel the energy, whether negative or positive,
Sure can.
between their parents.
And it affects them as well.
Oh yeah, it affects them to the utmost.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know for a fact that some of my kids probably need therapy, and their mom and I are actually actively working to get that done, because for one, the divorce aspect. Divorce is not only hard for the two people getting divorced. I mean, it's hard for the kids, it's hard for the extended families. You built these relationships with the siblings of your spouse, the parents of your spouse, the cousins, aunts, uncles. So when you split up, it makes it awkward for everyone that's involved. And so therapy is greatly needed on all fronts, from parents down to the children, and sometimes even the extended families need it. But if you, let's say you had an opportunity to speak to a man that was about to get a divorce or break up with his kid's mother or get a separation, he was thinking about it, hadn't quite made the jump yet, he was thinking about it. What would you have to say to him if he said, man, I'm wondering how it's gonna be co-parenting, cause I don't think I can take it anymore. I think we're about to break up. And definitely speak into the mic for this one, cause I need people to hear it. I'm curious to exactly what you have to say about it.
First off, I would have to ask him what has happened for the situation to become what you're thinking about. The advice I would give him, go into the situation with a clean head and be able to listen. Like I said before, if you're not listening to each other, you're not going to have a common ground. So it's never going to work. And also keep in mind that whatever happened, the child is going to be affected by it, whether it's good or bad. Keep in mind, you have to listen. That's pretty much it. I mean, don't hold back on how you feel. Speak your piece, but also listen to the other person.
That effective listening is so very important.
And that's something that I'm still learning to today.
I'm starting to wonder if we ever get to a point where we totally learn that, though. I mean, I think we get good at it, but I wonder if that's one of those things to where we're constantly building onto it. We can constantly be better at the communicative listening part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the listening is the most important, and that's a whole nother subject right there. We could go make a whole nother episode just on the listening aspect of it. But that was just a little taste of how deep, the co-parenting parts of it can go into. We'll definitely add on to that at another time. But good people, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for watching those that are watching it visually. Definitely like and subscribe to the channel. There'll be a lot more that I have in store that needs to be talked about, needs to be touched on. And some stuff, maybe I just need it to be talked about. And I just hope and pray that it can touch somebody else or give a little bit of insight to certain situations that go on. And definitely leave in the comments if there's something that you want me to talk about or that you may be struggling with, because every day is a new day to get something right that you feel like you didn't get right. So it's a blessing. Every moment is a blessing. Cherish it. Do everything that you have to do to be who you want to be and to spread love and make somebody else's life a little bit better. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.